Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. We're just going to give it 1 minute for everyone to settle in and join. Apologies for the slight delay, but I hope you all have gotten a chance to get your coffees and teas so that we can discuss today's very important and very interesting topic as well. Uh, right. I think we have enough people come in now. So without further ado, and keeping in mind that you've already waited, thank you everyone for joining in, and a big welcome to another version of the or another session of the MBA masterclass. Today we have with us Professor Amaury de Buchet, who is the affiliate professor of entrepreneurship with more than 30 years of experience and also the person responsible for the company consultancy projects. Um, Professor Amaury specializes in marketing, CRM, incubation, business modeling, etc. But more than anything else, he's here today to guide you on the company consultancy projects and very importantly talk about how you can use generative AI within your CCP because it is a very important tool for all of us, and at ESCP we believe in working together with technology and not against it. So Professor Mori, again, big welcome and a big thank you for doing today's masterclass. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Faisal. So welcome, everyone. I hope I'll get to see some of you starting October, which is going to be the start of this company consultancy project. So before I get into the topic of today's masterclass on generative AI and do's and don'ts and tools and everything, I would just quickly want to cover some basic stuff on the company consultancy project, what it is all about, how it's been handled, and probably so that you can ask questions in the chat, which I'll answer at the end of this presentation. So that's basically an extract from my course that I'm going to give at the introduction on next October, sorry. So basically, you're going to do two consultancy projects, one on sustainable development, CSR topics in the first period, and another one is going to be happening in your specialization at the end of the year, right? So basically two projects with real life business cases with real companies. You got some of the companies listed on the side, so we'll try to have a sample of all sectors and industries. Could be luxury, could be food and beverage, could be consulting, obviously, could be industry, could be anything, right? So we've got some people coming back. We've got some new people all the time, and we try to have every year at least. I mean, for the first part, which I'm directly in charge, for the first period, one startup and one NGO, generally both of those, so that it could appeal to all sensibilities and career plans of yours. So that's the purpose of this company consultancy project. No, we can stay on the first one, sorry, is for you to experience a specific sector that might be the one you're currently in or something you don't know at all, right? So there's not going to be any selection based on what you've done before. And we see a function as well. It's also an opportunity for you to network, to discuss with people, to interact with people, asking questions, digging into a topic, etc., and basically build your professional network. It's also an opportunity for you to put in practice all the concepts acquired in the classroom and also ask your professor for more, just to solve the issues that you've been handed to. Obviously, the sustainability is a key topic that is across all classes and all topics, right? So you already know that. So next slide, please. So it's a heavily graded part of the CCP. It's like 80 CTS credits, most courses being 2 to 4. So it's very important. It's a team effort, right? So teams of 4 to 6 students. It's a minimum of 110 hours of work per student. So basically, you would be able to look at it as being kind of a part-time endeavor. We're going to spend half a day a week over a few months, plus some dedicated time allotted to that. So it's a volume of 70 to 80 days of work, including all the team members, right? And we're going to help you, providing you with courses, workshops, and obviously tutoring along the way to do so. So the next, please. Yes, so here are some examples of past CCPs. You mentioned startups, so there are no startups here, but you can see Google, could be BNP Paribas, for example, working on diversity and inclusion KPIs. Amadeus, which is a global distribution system for the tourism industry, working on B2B payment and travel. We had something last year looking at for Accor on how to build a sustainable new business line. So very, very diverse topic. All of those being strategic in a way, but could be more with operational output or with a very general strategic output, depending on the needs of the companies. The next slide, please. Okay, so that's a quick testimonial. You can reach out, obviously, to all the previous class members. There are some ambassadors. You're probably familiar with that. You can ask anybody at the MBA team for more on those. That's a testimonial from Ulysses from batch of 2023, who did a consulting project with me and in finance. So I'll let you read that. Basically, BIVWAC is it's a transformation hub or digital or innovation hub from BNP Paribas, a leading bank worldwide. And this is what they did. So feel free to reach out to him or to any other ambassadors asking for more on how they liked, what was the issues they faced, and how they've been supplemented with courses or anything else. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to go into more details. Basically, company consultancy project has obviously an objective for you to understand the consulting world, right? We're going to cover some parts of the management consulting and then the CCPs, but no financial advisory or technology because it's too narrowly focused, and it requires expertise that all of you may not have, since as an MBA, you are coming from very diverse backgrounds. So it could be strategy, could be operations, could be human resources, anything of those, right? Obviously, marketing, anything. Marketing, you could put that in operations if you want. Next slide, please. So here, that's the key topic, right? We get into this CCP, and there are 5 steps that you're going to cover. The first one is obviously the contact part, where you're going to meet the company. The company is going to pitch to you the project, the case study they want you to work on. Not a case study, but like a real case they want you to work on. Then there's going to be an engagement and planning phase where you're going to dig deeper, analyze the internal context, the organizational and strategical context of the company, but also the external context, the market and competitors, right? So that you can, again, rephrase in your own way the question that's been asked to you, and also come up with a detailed plan on how to solve it, right? So that's the engagement and planning part. The third part, the data collection. Basically, you could think of it as an ongoing, right, always ongoing part, but obviously more of that is going to be happening at the beginning of the project. So it's going to be obviously secondary data like desk research, and this is where obviously ChatGPT will help you a lot. but also primary research. I mean, we try to balance both of those. It's very important to have primary research as well. So that's interviews, surveys, or field trips. Next part being the analysis and diagnostic part, so very standard for a consulting project where you're going to analyze the data. Obviously, you're going to refine the frameworks, identify all the buyers, but also score potential actions that you may present as recommendations, right? And then there's the presentation to the client, basically the construction, the building of this presentation and the delivery of this presentation. We're going to apply storytelling. I mean, identify the key selling points of your recommendations, apply storytelling to this for compelling presentation, and also do the best design for your slides and additional deliverables. The last two parts being the implementation and conclusion. I mean, unless you work for a startup, you probably will not see the implementation parts. And you see the conclusion takes a little bit of time for the actions to take place and for the results to appear. So, but that's very typical to consultants. Generally, they don't do the last two parts unless they're like working for startups or working in financial stuff or operational stuff. Might be the case. So coming back on that, I wanted to cover three use cases for using generative AI. By generative AI, I'm mentioning all kinds of generative AI chats, like the ones that are most welcome, ChatGPT, Anthropic Claude, or the French Mistral Le Chat, or Cohere, or anything, right? So that's very important one, but also additional generative AI tools that can be applied to specific situations that we cover afterwards. So that's the first introduction I would like to give you. Here, let's look at the different use case. The first one is basically the research part, right? This is where generative AI LLMs are very, very good at because they can, I mean, basically analyze, synthesize, categorize a lot of data, right? A lot more than you would be able to cover over the allotted time for this. So I've selected two tools here that I recommend you to use. The first one is ChatGPT's O3 deep research function. As students of ESCP, you'll be allocated a version, like a paid version for that. So obviously, I would recommend you to use the paid version since the difference between the paid and the free version is huge here. So what O3 or deep research will help you do is to basically frame the question. It's a very important part, not to be dismissed. Design research, map the axis of investigation, exploration, because most of the time there'll be a topic, an industry you don't know at all, so you need to be able to map and design all of your research. So that's the first part. The second part will be to build for your primary research interview guides or questionnaires, right? So typically, this tool is very good at doing so. Obviously, applying critical thinking on this because the first draft will not be good enough. But also try to develop your prompting expertise, right? So I assume that all of you have already had some experience with prompting. So I'm not going to cover any prompting framework that you already know, but just to tell you that in order to have a good framework, a good prompt, you need to embed in this prompt a dedicated framework. Not only this goal, task, whatever framework that is very generic, but something that is more specific to the task at hand. Let's say you want to audit the web pages of various competitors and try to understand the strategy, etc., that you might be willing to use Ogilvy's, which is a famous publicist, 15 principles of copywriting, right? And embed that into your prompt to audit all pages and present that in a meaningful, synthesized side-by-side comparison, right? But another way would be if you want to generate an image, just to express an idea or something. You've probably tried to do that in the past. If you want to have a very good image, something that is really describing what you want, you need to be able to describe what you want in a way that the machine has been taught to use. And for example, a very good framework for that is the semantic principles. You would describe the point of view, the viewpoint, the lighting, the camera aperture, all of that, the filters, everything, so that you would get the image you want, right? And there are going to be many more frameworks that we're going to use and see and learn throughout the course. But you can also ask ChatGPT, or for example, there's for Anthropic, they've got a prompt generator. You can ask them to generate the prompt for you to use in another. So for example, if you don't know how to describe an image the way I've been telling you, you can ask ChatGPT to generate a prompt to get what you want, right? So it's like coding in a way. You need to learn the language, right? And the language is in frameworks. Another another use case that I wanted to cover here is the actual writing of your presentation or of your report, right? So most of the deliverables, sorry, are going to be present in PowerPoint format, but it could also be additional Excel sheets or Word format or etc. But basically, it's most of the time starting with Word, right? So the tool I'm recommending for that is Claude. I've been experimenting with Claude Sonnet, so it's 3.7, but I haven't really extensively tested the new 4 version, but Claude is very good at writing. So for the style, etc., his writing style and linguistic capacities are, I think, surpassed the ones of OpenAI ChatGPT. So you would start with the research report that you get from the first phase, and you would basically identify the elements of style, for example, of your target audience, the one you're going to do this presentation to, and you would apply storytelling techniques. You got some very important frameworks like the stories arc, but many other ones you can use so that you can come up with a very compelling presentation, right? Something that has ups and downs, a little humor sometime, or any elements that would help you capture the audience attention and get them on board with your recommendation. The third use case that I wanted to present to you is something that is very often overlooked. It's verification. I mean, you know that ChatGPT and other LLMs are very prone to hallucinations. They can be very creative with their results, right? So it's like you would ask somebody who doesn't know the direction in any country, and he would point the directions just for not losing face, and so whether he knows or not the direction is okay. So you've probably heard that story time and time again. So it's the same with ChatGPT. So it's very good at answering very simple questions, like for example, what is the population of that country, etc. But when you dig deeper and you want to extract more precise data that is typically not found on web pages or in text, you will not be able to do so. Most of that data will be in databases, and those databases are very difficult to query with ChatGPT. So you need to extract the data, query the data, and then do so. So it doesn't work well with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is going to give you answers. So you need to verify all of those, fact check those answers. The good thing is that you can use ChatGPT to check ChatGPT, right? Here, I would use ChatGPT to fact check the report that has been written with Claude, asked to verify all sources, all claims, make sure that everything is correct. And to help you with that, you would want to provide those the fact checker with a list of verified sources that you found for this research, right? So verify, always verify, check your anything that comes out of a generative AI tool, right? So that would be the three use cases. And before we head over to some questions, I wanted to cover a few thoughts and also a few do's and don'ts, right, for using generative AI in mostly in consulting, but more generally in other fields as well. For example, for your thesis or anything. The first one is you can research public information, but you should always try to ask for alternative versions, right? Because there's something called the tyranny of the majority, so that ChatGPT will give you the majority's answer, right? So you would want to also have the alternative version of it always. So also do identify the best experts. It's very good at doing so. And those experts you can reach out to and ask for interviews. In doing so, you'll be able to reduce the number of interviews and get more productive at it. Write better introductions to invite them for this interview. You can also structure, like I mentioned, your interview guides on questionnaires. So that's a very good do. And on the don't side, a few ones that I've partly mentioned, but the first one is never share direct AI output, never do so. I mean, in previous groups or group work, I've seen some stuff that directly came out of ChatGPT. If that's the case, then you should obviously highlight it and say that it's for like for discussion, right? It's something it's just an ID for discussion, but never present that as a something that is supposed to be yours, right? I mean, it's going to be very difficult to fool somebody on this if you do that for, I mean, all kinds of stuff. So people have become very good at identifying the so-so level of ChatGPT outputs. So that's the first don't, very strong don't. The second one is never share sensitive or confidential information with ChatGPT or any of those tools, public tools. So for example, data that has been supplied to you by the company. So many companies are going to require confidentiality agreements with you. So you'd want to make sure that you don't share confidential or sensitive information with that. And also, when you do a prompt, the same way you would be using Google, don't stop at doing one prompt because the answer seems good enough to you. Refine your prompts, do some more, do long prompts. I mean, you can do so with a very large one. So we're going to experiment with that. So that's another don't. So never do only one prompt without refining and testing it. As a conclusion, a few thoughts here. The first one is to be able to balance secondary data with primary data. We mentioned that, so interviews and the such, right? Very important because what's on the internet, if you don't dig enough, will be most likely known to your customer as well, or generally known, probably not in detail, but so you want to complement that with with primary research to have original thoughts and original data. The second thought that I wanted to share with you is that it's this AI doom versus boom discussion or debate that you've maybe been part of in various discussions around you. So we strongly believe that AI is a tool that can be used for the best of, I would say, mankind here, not talking lightly. We are currently using AI to augment ourselves for productivity, for expertise, for data access and synthesis and everything. So basically augmenting ourselves. The next step that is currently being developed is agentic AI. So basically moving away from augmentation to automation. And so this is why you definitely want to know how to use AI so that you are on the good side of things. And this is why we believe that the MBA at ECP would be the right choice. So I'm finished with my presentation here. So I'm open for questions. So if any one of you have it.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Professor Amaury, for that presentation and for the discussion on the tools used. And I think we have one question here, and I guess it was quite obvious for this question to come in, which is, can you please share the names of the tools that you have mentioned for research work and otherwise with the audience?
Yes. Okay. So basically, so the first one would be OpenAI's. So how can I answer here?
So you could mention them in the chat directly.
Yes, I'm trying to find the chat. I've got a Q&A
And then,
plus
okay.
chat here. Yes.
And you could.
So that's the first one. The second one is
Oh, so that's going to hosts and panelists only. So I'm just going to copy it and send it to everyone. So that's the
okay.
first one. There we
Okay, I'm
go.
going to say everyone. The second one, the last one,
Mhm.
and for better understanding, this is something I didn't want to cover in detail because it's for you to experiment. But this is my quick list of additional dedicated tools for GenAI tools. So there are obviously much more than the one that I've mentioned, but I could only cover 3 use cases over the limited time that I had. So you're welcome to experiment with those tools as well before joining us.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that list. We do have another question coming up, wherein the attendee asks if you have the list of the companies for the CCP for the upcoming class this year.
Nope. No, I don't.
So I guess a follow-up would be by when will the students know about the companies or the clients that they'll be working with?
On the first day of class of
First.
because it's going, I want a little surprise, and there's many other reasons that I won't disclose here for that I've decided to do so.
Okay, lovely. So then again, another question coming in says, I wonder if consulting isn't one of the first professions replaced in large numbers by agentic AI. I would love to hear your opinion, especially as a person entering the job market.
Yes, that's a very, very important question. I mean, I could say the same for people working in law, for people working in code, in like computer coding, and for many other topics. Basically, it's going to be very difficult for people with limited or no experience, right, to do so, because all of the entry-level jobs, people learning how to do marketing, learning how to do writing, communication, learning how to do consulting, etc. All of that is going to be, easily replaced with generative AI. I don't think we're going to have any AGI soon, so I'm not an AGI around the corner guy kind of guy. So right now, I think that you can automate most of those tools because you need to know the frameworks, right? Like I mentioned, and that is something that you can learn through experience. And you can obviously learn a little bit of that at school, but you can learn it by doing. And this is the main challenge. So you will have to, I would say, jump over that stuff. This is why I think MBA is a good way to do so. And this is why we've got this the CCP. So you've probably heard of the massive layoffs that Microsoft and many other companies have done in coding or stuff. So most of the entry-level stuff is going to be difficult for junior people. And the challenge obviously being how to get the next senior people, because typically consulting is a high churn industry, like typically in the 15 to 20% of churn every year. So if you cannot get junior and groom them, it's going to be a challenge for them to build. But they're jumping on the AI bandwagon, so I'm quite sure that all of the firms are going to succeed in this transition.
Great, thank you. Another question, more for comment, that there's no possibility for attendees to copy the information and the messages in the chat, and they don't seem to find it in the chat section as well. Can we send them the tools and the details otherwise? So
But Party, you've got the list of the attendees, or you can send them
yes,
afterwards.
I do. Yes. So
So feel free to send us.
we will be sending the recording. So along with the recording, we can send you the list of these tools as well. So that should be okay.
Sure.
So, great. If we'll give it a couple of more minutes for more questions. Please note if you have questions about the program and the admission process, etc., regarding our upcoming deadline on the 12th of June for this year, please feel free to ask those questions as well. We're happy to answer that.
Can we do a quick survey on using this? Quick survey. So who is AI doom or AI boom, for example?
Yes. Sure.
So how can I do that?
Let me try that for you.
Sondage, okay. So MBA Pulp, first one contact, that's another one. So how can I create one?
Yes, we can create one. Yeah.
I can launch the one that existing, but I don't have the rights to create one. So let's do that differently. If you could raise your hands.
Would you like me to create one then?
Yes, that would be better.
Yeah. So you want me to call it?
So are you AI doom or AI boom? Doom being, obviously, is going to destroy a lot of jobs and is going to have massive implications. And the AI boom is that it will unleash new areas of productivity and obviously, generally, the humanity will benefit from that, right? So we'll need to find, obviously, change many things along the way, right? It has a transition periods, but basically, it will solve many health issues, security issues, world sustainable issues and everything.
Yeah.
So AI
And
doom and AI boom. So
yeah, I'm just gonna.
I'd be happy to see what prospective students would think of that.
And it's launched now, so everyone should be able to vote on it. And then while that happens, there's a question coming in for you, Amaury, which is, what is your take on future of advertising leveraging AI?
So advertising is a very data, um, very much data heavy industry, right? So there's a lot of data in advertising. especially in the delivery of the advertising, obviously, not in the creation of the advertising. So, and so on all the delivery part is going to have a massive impact, right? On the creative part, we've seen many very good pieces of advertising, for example, with I think even Nike and Chanel and Coca-Cola have experimented with that. I think we'll suffer very fast of AI fatigue, right? Because what you need is a very good script writer and everything at the helm, right? Because a long prompt, even a long prompt will not do it, right? So you need people working sequence by sequence, etc. So I think that the future of advertising will see more creative advertising. We're going to see more evolving advertising. Advertising copy would typically will be very, very expensive. So the cost will be decreased. So we'll probably be looking at more personalized advertising, creative advertising, and that is very good for branding, I think. I'm very positive on that.
Great.
I'm a marketer myself, so.
Great. Thank you. Right, we have a question coming in which can be slightly interesting. Is that what's your viewpoint on the Chinese AI, especially regarding the price versus quality debate there?
Yes, I think it's a very good challenge to the American supremacy and American business model, obviously. So we've all seen the DeepSeek rise and how they've been able to do so, basically trying to extract the weights of a given algorithm. And I'm a strong believer also in open source AI, because if you only put AI in the hands of a few companies that want to extract all the value out of that, is going to have many strong implications. So I think because of this geopolitical, strategical impact, China has a role to play in balancing American supremacy on this, and ultimately having more AI tools in open source for everyone to use. So, for example, I'm quite sure that although the boards of the different companies like OpenAI, etc., when they've looked at that, they've must have been asked to retest and go back to the drawing board on their business model, because obviously they had planned to charge 20 euros per user per month, etc., with a churn rate of X, and that is not going to apply anymore. So I think that's a very, very good thing in the end. So we'll keep an eye on everything that's happening every day.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. More questions coming in. Then this one is that will AI democratize the consulting industry? Most of the tier one consulting firms have rich resources across various industries, something which boutique consulting firms do not yet have. What are your views on this in terms of democratization of the consulting industry?
I mean, consulting is a very pyramidal industry, right? So because the decision makers are not so many, right? So you need to know the decision makers in order to get them to trust you, and in order to agree on a contract, right? Consulting contract. So I don't think that is going to change. So McKinsey and BCG and Bain and everything. I mean, probably one of those is going to have more difficulties navigating this transition. But I think because of the hierarchical nature of decision making in many companies, especially for strategy consulting firms, I don't see any major change. Boutique firms will obviously be very good at operational marketing, for example, operational consulting, for example, marketing or operations, etc., because you need the buy-in of people that are not in a C-suite, for example. So that's going to be very good. But for anything that is strategy, I think you'll still need to have strong brands, strong network, and obviously data, because all of the, like I said, you cannot use public AI tools with the sensitive data, and consulting companies do gather a lot of data, and that data is a very strong asset for them. So if they're able to leverage it correctly, I don't see why they'll be, I would say, critically challenged here. But again, I spent only 10 years in consulting, so anything can happen. We've seen that with Enron back a few times, and Arthur Andersen back a few decades ago.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing that. Before we move on to further questions, we have the poll results. We had everyone answer it, so I'm not sure if you can see, but we had majority of the people answering or going for AI boom or positioning themselves on the pro AI side. 3 on AI boom and 3 are undecided yet. Do you have anything to comment on that?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
it's very good. Obviously, it's probably a testimony to the the quality of the people that are around the table. But make sure that you always listen to one another, right?
Mhm.
Because if you are too much into one way, you might miss something that is happening that might have like any weak signals, etc. So always, if you doom, always talk with boom, and if you boom, always talk with doom. I
Yes, and the undecided should talk to both.
Yes, of course, it's probably easier for them, but at some time they will need to make some decisions, right?
Absolutely. Before, I guess we have one, more questions on the consulting side, but I would like to cover something different, which is on the curriculum of ESCP. So we have a question on how on the understanding of how AI is incorporated in the curriculum of ESCP at the MBA.
So I will start by the start. I mean, all professors are trained on AI, right? So this is very important so that we walk the talk, obviously. So that's the first part. We try to help you embrace AI, retaining your critical mind. I've been tutoring many master theses or bachelor theses, etc., and I find that many students have a lot of difficulties dealing with AI, right? So either they totally submit to that and then they don't exert any kind of critical thinking and do some actual work. So that's obviously not something you should do. Or they try to hide it, which is obviously not good enough, not good, because we've got all kinds of ways to see when it's too much AI. So that's the most important part. So we try to not only teach you how to use tools, because that you can do by yourself, and there are very good tutorials, but we try to get you to understand the limits, right? In the last period, for example, I did a workshop on AI where people were asked to come up with independently. So you have a red and blue team facing each other, and they had to work on each side and then submit the results of the analysis to an AI agent that would basically decide who won the competition, right? And because the AI was asked to tell us who won, right? They gave us grades following criteria that we gave the AI prior to that, and they gave grades that were 1 point difference between one another, right? And just reading the feedback from the AI, you couldn't see which one was really better than the other ones. Looking at the results, you could have, right? But the AI was not able to make real decision on that. So that was, I think, a learning that some of the people in the classroom took, understood. For some of those, it was quite instant, obvious. For some, it took a little longer time. But you should understand the limits of AI. And this is something we want to get you to do, is to obviously use AI in the proper fashion, but also understand the limits of AI and how you have rooms for your own development.
All right, thank you. I know we have only 10 minutes left, but just continuing on the use of AI in the curriculum or perhaps preparing for the MBA. There's a question on that since the advancing of AI models, especially in research and data analysis, what could an incoming MBA expect from the MBA program? The question is in relation to the traditional belief that MBA program will focus on case studies. Now, this process has been made significantly accessible and could diminish the value of case study exercises.
I mean, that's one is an easy one, right? You do a lot of teamwork in an MBA. Typically, it's a lot of teamwork, and teamwork is something that you don't do with AI, right? There's no team. There's you and the AI, and this is something you learn, that people will can be trusted, not trusted, that people have hidden agendas, that people have are good at some things, not good at some others, that originality of ideas and creativity, out of the box thinking is very important. So all of those stuff are not at all answered by AI, right? So, and this is something that is at the heart of any MBA curriculum. So I'm not talking only about ESCP here, but at all MBAs. I mean, case studies, you shouldn't look at case studies, I mean, how to solve the case study, right? It's like the Olympic Games where Pierre de Coubertin said the important is not to win, it's to participate. Here, the learning, most of the learning is through the actual doing, the writing, right, that you're going to do, and not the end results. You can solve many issues with AI, but if you know, for example, that AI is using chain of thought, but if you are not able to provide the AI with the correct framework, that the one that you think is going to deliver the kind of result that you want, AI is going to deliver a result, but probably not the best ones, right? So, and so it's something that you need to think, and you need to experiment with that. So I think, yeah, MBA is very important. Plus, obviously, MBA is a network of people, network of friends that you're going to build over the course of 1 year. You're going to cover and enlarge your curiosity and the scope of topics and skills that you're going to work. I mean, AI, do not forget that most of the AI we use are in a UX way, user experience way, which is a chatbot, right? You enter something, you get something else, which is a very, very limited way to interact with somebody and someone, right, or something. So you're going to have many, many more ways to interact with all kinds of knowledge and people over MBA. So definitely AI is not diminishing anything of that.
Lovely, thank you. Also, moving on to the entrepreneurship side of AI. So there's a question on what do you think is the impact on entrepreneurship? What do you think it's a golden age for entrepreneurship, or it's coming since founders with limited resources can now build and expand teams and use a lot of resources via AI tools?
I mean, it's a when looking at the future, there are not many ways that we feel comfortable with doing so. The first and main way to do so is to extrapolate from known trends, right? So I'm going to extrapolate on one trend. The trend I'm going to extrapolate is that the cost of creating and launching a multi-billion-dollar company has been reducing, but not only reducing since AI is there, but has been reducing for the past decades, right? For example, creating a website and hosting websites in the 90s was very, very expensive. It decreased a lot, etc. So with the arrival of Web 2.0, that decreased a lot. You were able, now we've got no code or low code, low code or no code. Obviously, that decreases a lot the price to do so. I mean, people have been rambling and saying that they can have a multi-billion-dollar company with one employee. I don't believe that at all, but and many of the companies who try to do so have gone back to something more reasonable. but obviously it's going to further decrease the cost of launching a company. So, for example, if you use Figma with AI, you can create a very powerful prototype, working prototype of anything, right? There's also something called Lovable, I think, where you can create an entire website or duplicate a website. So that's very important. So lowering the cost of entry is something very important. On the other side, we are living through the end, I think, of a cash crunch for startups, which is a major issue. So there's been some report, I think, by PitchBook recently on how difficult it was for startups to find money, right? And then obviously that the level of quality that was expected from startups in, for example, round A was probably something that was expected from round B or round C. So the level expectation has gone up a lot. So lower barrier to entry, higher barrier to cash, but probably the last one being a little more temporary. So that would be my guess.
Lovely. Thank you. I know we're very short on time. Um, I'll, I guess
There's a
that
weak
there's,
signal. There's a weak signal
yes,
one though. I would
question.
want
Yes,
to
go
probably
on.
finish with that.
Hmm.
Typically, weak signals, it's very difficult to catch up with AI, right? Because AI, like I said, it's built on massive amount of data, public data, etc. So AI will not be very good at detecting at detecting weak signals. But once you find something that, because of your experience, you think might be a weak signal or something, you can use AI to explore that in a very, very precious fashion. So this is all about curiosity. So I once gave a podcast on curiosity, and this is something that is the livelihood of any manager that wants to succeed. You need to be, if you hear something that tingles in your head, you should be able to, focus and get some answers, try to understand this, and AI is going to help you a lot. So weak signals is something that you will get through conversations with actual people, but probably not directly through AI.
All right, thank you. Do you have time for maybe one more final question then?
One more.
One more. I'll leave it to you to answer whichever you feel like.
Uh, so the second one is quick. So we've signed probably was that a year ago something,
Mhm.
the first major like OpenAI for EDU. We've been the first business school to sign that
Yes.
in almost a year ago. So we're pretty advanced on that. And obviously, there are many ways the teachers are incentivized to do so. There is a innovation prize, for example. They're put forward. A lot of those are put forward in communications and stuff. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
incentivization to do so.
Perfect.
And I think in the first one, that the last one is very easy. Every day, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would refrain from using generative AI every day. That has
Exactly.
additional problems on computing bandwidth and everything,
Mhm.
resources, but that's another topic.
All right, well, perfect. On time. Thank you, Professor, for your time and for the presentation today. And I think our students and our audience enjoyed this a lot given their interactions and their questions. Um, so we will be sharing the recording and the list, of course, with you all soon. And again, thank you everyone for joining in. Our upcoming deadline is the 12th of June, and that is the final deadline for this year. So if you have any questions on admissions, etc., feel free to reach out to your respective admissions team as well. And thank you again, Professor, for your time and for a lovely
Thank you,
session.
Vatsar, and thank you to all, and I hope to see you, at least some of you next year, and probably most
Absolutely.
of you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.